What's up, guys? Welcome back to DYAD in the Force. So it looks like Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy, after years and years of no updates, is still kind of up in the air and can happen. So Rian Johnson recently spoke to The Independent about his show Poker Face. And he was asked about his experience with The Last Jedi. And he says, quote, "I always want to make this clear. It's not like I've gone through a living hell or something. I've had the kind of experience that you only dream about as a filmmaker. I was in my 20s when the prequels came out. I mean, you talk about wars between Star Wars fans. We experienced our own. The prequels was World War I, and this, The Last Jedi, was World War II. Just confirming what we've known for a while now, that the hate is like a vicious cycle in the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah, I mean, it's frankly, it's nonsense. It was so bad when the prequels came out that for a long time, I thought I was the only person that enjoyed them. You know, you couldn't talk about them. You couldn't. You turn on a TV show, and in the TV show you're watching, they're roasting the prequel trilogy. You know, yeah, it was just ubiquitous hate for all of the prequels. I feel like people seem to think that Revenge of the Sith was like not hate. It was called the best of a bad bunch. And what sucks is the people who, the older people at that time, ruined the chance that the generation that it was made for. They ruined those people's chance to see these stars again. It wasn't until recently that we were able to get Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back to play these roles, and they were super touched. I mean, Hayden stopped acting and became a farmer. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was so bad, and it sucks to see that generation of fans knowing what they lost, what they could have had, had there not been so much hate. To see them do this again to the next generation sucks.
Yeah. And, we see all of the things that came out of Hayden coming back with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and he is confirmed to return for Ahsoka season 2. And there's a lot of sentiment out there about it's fine. It feels so good to see Hayden finally getting the appreciation that he deserves, but at the same time, you're actively trashing and hating the people who are responsible for bringing him back, and he wouldn't be back without Disney acquiring Star Wars and them going on to make an Ahsoka show. And just like you said, it's a vicious cycle. In the words of James Cameron, this is us not profiting from the lessons of history. And you guys experienced hate, or we experienced hate for the prequels, and then everybody grew up and we started appreciating the prequels, but then the cycle continued and everyone started hating on the sequels. And it's so much more amplified because now we have social media and YouTube and podcasts. Everybody has a microphone. And so
just like us.
and so now we're talking about Rian Johnson possibly coming back. He continues with his experience. He adds, "I feel like I've had such a wonderful, lovely, positive experience with the fans during the course of it. That's left me a bigger Star Wars fan than I ever was, which is really something because I grew up with it as the bedrock of my childhood." And this is in stark contrast to the misinformation and all of the talking points that you'll hear from the carpet nuggets that he's an admitted non-Star Wars fan.
I had someone trying to tell me that he said he wanted to make an anti-Star Wars movie. I was like, no, that's not true. That's stupid. Yeah, but I love this because we are chronically online people. so we see this stuff more than most, or at least I did until I jumped off of Star Wars Twitter, which is just a cesspool. But the negativity, the hate, they don't care. Here's what people don't understand is that by believing the lies of a lot of these content creators, a lot of these chuds, a lot of these carpet nuggets, they say things that are just patently false. They complain about things that are already well established. They complain about things not being breaking canon when they don't break canon, and they themselves don't actually read canon or care about it. They complain about things that aren't even in the freaking project that they're talking about. And because of that, and because people will perpetuate that because it's on the same side of the argument as them, the whole side's lost credibility. Lucasfilm doesn't care what they say. They don't care what those people think. I've been in calls with them. They just go, oh, yeah, those idiots, and move on. And I feel bad because there's some people over there who have valid criticisms,
but they're being
and they'll never be heard because they're drowned out by these idiots. But the reason they drowned out by these idiots is because they themselves will never call out those idiots.
Finally, The Independent asked Rian Johnson about his own trilogy of Star Wars films that was announced years ago. And he said, they asked him what happened. And he said, what happened? Knives Out. That movie turned into a huge blockbuster. And it turned into a huge franchise. He's going down this murder mystery whodunit rabbit hole. And it's turned into a juggernaut where, he's now making a third film, Wake Up Dead, with Benoit Blanc again. And,
which I'm excited for.
Yeah, he's having fun with it. I'm having fun with these movies. So, yeah.
And then he's also doing Poker Face, right? That show, that was the whole, point of this discussion. What's funny is he has a close relationship with Leslie Headland. They're close friends. She worked under him. And so it's cool to see how they kind of share. Like Natasha Lyonne from Poker Face was the star of Russian Dolls, which Leslie Headland did. Yeah, it's just cool.
He goes on to say, if I get back into the Star Wars universe someday, I'd be the happiest person. So my takeaway from this interview, at least with the sparse words that he offers us with, this update, as it were, on his trilogy, is I think he has a blank check from Kathleen Kennedy, so to speak. Not like blank check budget wise, but it's like, hey, if you ever want to come back and do this whole trilogy, you can. Just let me know when your schedule is free. And I think that's what's been happening in the past couple of years. I don't think it's as pertinent as people claim it to be. I think that Kathleen Kennedy has given Rian Johnson the option to do a trilogy. And because none of it has been in development or none of it has been written, there's no real urgency to get it done, right? It's one of those things that it's like, we'll put this on the backlog, and if we need it, and if there's a story to be told, specifically when Rian Johnson's free to write it, then we'll see it. And so I don't think we need to worry.
At the same time, I love what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's having fun creating his art, and you can't fault him for that. Like, I know that there's people out there who are going to think, no, he must be scared, that's why he's not touching other Star Wars. No, he doesn't need Star Wars to make his career. You know what I mean? He's already done this. Actually, everything he's done, super critically high rated. Everything. Like, arguably one of the best television shows of all time, which would be Breaking Bad. He did the 2 highest rated episodes of that show. It's crazy. I'm excited. He says, he'd be the happiest person to come back into this universe and tell a little story, but he's gonna keep striking while the iron's hot. He's gonna keep doing his thing until he's ready. Sucks for us because I want it.
It goes with what Choco is saying about that they don't really care. I think at the end of the day, everyone harps on this Last Jedi thing with Rian Johnson, or even harps on the Rise of Skywalker with JJ, but at the end of the day, they keep on making movies, and they still have careers, and there's nothing you guys can do to I suppose cancel them. I watched a video recently where, it was quite a revelation that the anti-woke chuds are actually the woke ones. They've turned obsessive. they've turned into people looking to be offended, and then subsequently they've turned into the people that are always triggered. They lack self-awareness.
I one time, a long time ago, a young Choco considered himself to be an anti-SJW, back in those days. But this is because I was told what an SJW was someone that doesn't actually care about the project. They don't care about the franchise. They just want to show up and inject their political ideology into it and then leave. Turns out that wasn't true. All the people who are doing these, of course, Star Wars and stuff, are all people who just wanted to tell stories in the universe because they loved it so much. If you hear the stuff they say about Ironheart, like, they clearly have never read Ironheart. They don't remember that she was already in a Marvel movie. She's already a character. They have no idea what they're talking about, but they have to shove in their political ideology, and they don't even care.
And that's the crux of the Carpet Nugget playbook is, I don't want politics shoved into my insert fandom here. The problem is that their politics, or politics in general to them, is people existing. People who cannot change immutable characteristics. A black person existing, an Asian person existing, a gay person existing, a trans person existing. That's not political in nature. They exist. But to them, that's a political agenda. And that's a problem. Because they can't change who you are. So, like, you write a story that happens to have characters that can be played by any number of, combination of actors that are of these characteristics, and it has nothing to do with politics, yet just by virtue of existing, it's a political agenda. You've seemingly already lost with the Carpet Nugget crowd. So anyways, Rian Johnson, if he ever comes back to do his trilogy, we're gonna cover it with
I'll be ecstatic. It'll be amazing. Hopefully Poker Face ends soon. I haven't seen a single episode. It's probably amazing. I'm gonna start watching it.
I hope he comes back and does The Last Jedi 2 and 3. Anyways, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to turn on notifications for more videos, and come back for more. We'll see you next time.